Until December 2015, the Schauer-Freiburghaus family seemed like any other in the quiet Swiss town of Ruti. Carla Schauer-Freiburghaus was a devoted mother, loving wife, and respected member of her community. Her two sons, 19-year-old Dion and 13-year-old David, were energetic and full of plans. Dion had a girlfriend, Simona, who often stayed at their home. Carla's husband, George, left early for work every morning, and his absence on Mondays had become routine, an absence that would play a tragic role. At first glance, nothing suggested danger. The family was preparing for Christmas, decorating their home, and choosing gifts like countless others. They lived quietly, unaware that someone nearby was watching, meticulously planning revenge, pain, and fear. That someone was Thomas Nick, living just 500 meters away. To neighbors, he appeared unremarkable, a young man allegedly studying medicine, walking his dogs, and smiling politely. Behind this facade, however, lurked a twisted obsession with David and a carefully orchestrated plan for violence. Thomas spent weeks studying the family online and in person, using a false identity as a school counselor to gain insight. He learned George's schedule, who remained at home, and when an attack could be executed. Every step was calculated. Before the crime, he had gathered information about the Schauers, verified their routines, and built a chilling scenario. Nothing that followed was spontaneous. It was a coldly premeditated plan. Meanwhile, the town carried on, oblivious to the approaching horror. The day arrived, Monday, December 21st, 2015, just days before Christmas. Streets were adorned with garlands, people rushed to buy gifts, but inside the Schauer home, a quiet morning unfolded. George left for work as usual, leaving Carla, her sons, and Simona at home. A knock at the door changed everything. Carla opened it to find a confident young man with a folder, presenting himself as a school counselor here to speak with David. Calm and convincing, he displayed a forged document that drew no suspicion. It was Thomas, the seemingly ordinary local, admitted into the house without hesitation. Once inside, he spun a story about bullying, claiming David had driven a classmate to suicide, even producing a fake note to persuade Carla. The story seemed a bad joke, but appeared credible. Once trust was gained, his demeanor shifted abruptly. From his bag, he produced a knife and zip ties, forcing Carla to bind David first, then Dion and Simona. All were defenseless. After binding the children and Simona, Thomas turned to Carla. He demanded a large sum of money, ordering her to withdraw cash and return, promising that no one would be harmed. Terrified, Carla complied. Security cameras captured her panic-stricken face as she withdrew 1,000 francs at 9:50 a.m., then 9,850 francs 20 minutes later. To outsiders, these were routine ATM visits, but for those who knew Carla, the footage revealed a mother under extreme duress. Even then, she did not seek help. Thomas had total psychological control, claiming he had accomplices and that any wrong move would endanger her children. Carla returned home, hoping the ordeal was over. It was not. Thomas forced her to sit and bound her like the others. Now all four were immobilized with zip ties, gagged and powerless. He revealed a second set of tools: handcuffs, tape, ropes, lighters, and objects that suggested a nightmarish fantasy rather than a burglary. Carefully prepared in advance, these items reflected his meticulous plan. The family waited in terror, anticipating the next move. Thomas chose David as his first victim. For 20 minutes, in front of his family, he tortured the 13-year-old. Simona, Dion, and Carla could do nothing but watch, gagged and trembling. Every act was recorded on Thomas's phone, preserving the scene as if it were a personal trophy.
The family endured psychological torment as much as physical. The horror escalated as Thomas executed his plan methodically. After the assault, Thomas attacked each family member with a sharp instrument, striking their necks one by one. They were silenced forever. Even then, he understood that physical evidence could betray him. To eliminate traces, he doused the rooms with flammable liquid and set the house on fire, intending to destroy all evidence. Dark smoke filled the street, noticed by a neighbor who alerted firefighters. Despite their swift arrival, they could not save anyone. The flames and smoke revealed a terrifying truth that even ashes could not conceal. George, the husband and father, remained oblivious. He had left for work that morning, unaware that his family's lives were ending. When informed, his world collapsed. Carla, his wife, his children, and Dion's girlfriend were all dead. The grief was unimaginable, compounded by suspicion. Initially, the police considered George the subprime suspect, a standard procedure in family homicides. Every detail of his life was scrutinized: his car, phone, workplace, even his fingernails for traces of ash or injury. He faced not only grief, but the implication of guilt. Despite his alibi, George endured intense scrutiny, but evidence slowly absolved him. Surveillance footage and ATM records confirmed he was not involved. Yet the psychological toll remained. Surviving such an ordeal is only the first step. Living afterward, knowing he would never embrace his family again, was an entirely different challenge.
With George cleared, attention turned to finding the real perpetrator. 4 people had been killed, including a minor, and the house burned. Swiss authorities approached the case with meticulous patience, involving the cold case department even though the crime was recent. Investigators focused on the likelihood that the attack had been carefully prepared. Such crimes are rarely spontaneous. Planning always leaves a trace. This line of thought led to digital evidence. The family name Schauer-Freiburghaus is rare. Investigators considered that anyone searching for them online prior to December 21 might be suspicious. Internet provider records revealed numerous IP addresses that had researched the family in the weeks before the tragedy. One address stood out, very close to the family's home. The address led to Thomas Nick, a seemingly ordinary man in his early 30s. He lived with his mother, walked his dogs, volunteered as a coach, and had no criminal record. Outwardly, he appeared model citizen material. However, closer scrutiny revealed disturbing patterns. Thomas maintained a precise, almost obsessive routine. He walked the same routes with his dogs at the same times daily. Everything in his life appeared controlled and scripted, except December 21, the day of the murders. His phone went offline with no signals, calls, or internet activity. It suggested premeditation. While circumstantial, these details made him the first serious suspect. Surveillance began. Authorities noted that he frequented the same Starbucks in a neighboring town, a location already flagged for illegal activity. Timing of downloads matched his visits, including videos of boys resembling David Schauer. The evidence painted a chilling picture. Thomas was not an accidental observer. He knew exactly what he was doing. By May 2016, authorities had compiled a profile, but direct proof of his presence in the house was still missing. DNA would be key. Police devised a strategic trap at the Starbucks. On May 12, 2016, a routine alcohol checkpoint was set up. Thomas, unaware of the operation, passed through. While performing a standard breath test, investigators discreetly collected DNA from the testing equipment. Days later, the result confirmed a match with the DNA found on David's body. This provided the warrant needed for arrest. Surveillance continued to ensure incriminating materials were seized directly from him. Thomas attempted to avoid detection, altering his routine and avoiding the cafe. Yet within days, he returned. Plainclothes officers approached him quietly. He did not resist. With him were his laptop, flash drives, and backpack. During interrogation, he remained eerily calm, acknowledging his actions without denial or emotion. He admitted planning, filming, and stalking the family, confirming investigators' worst suspicions.
After Thomas Nick's arrest, authorities immediately examined his belongings, focusing on his laptop. It was password protected, but specialists bypassed the security. What they found shocked even seasoned investigators. A folder labeled Special Archive contained hundreds of photos and videos, almost all involving adolescent boys aged roughly 13. The files were not solely downloaded from the internet. Some were recordings made by Thomas himself, often in public spaces, such as streets, cafes, sports centers, and school events. Most disturbing was a subfolder titled Future. It included an Excel spreadsheet listing 11 potential victims with detailed personal information, names, approximate ages, schools, addresses, mothers' names, daily routines, and observations. Each entry reflected careful surveillance similar to what he had done with the Schauer family. Notes included seemingly mundane but chilling details. Monday, home alone after 16:30. Mother gone shopping 30 minutes. Entrance unlocked. Or evening practice empty 1800 to 2000. Some entries read, "Bad day today. Everyone home. We'll wait for Friday." These were not idle thoughts. They were precise step-by-step plans. In his backpack, authorities found a second set of tools: zip ties, tape, gloves, a lighter, adult toys, and a spare phone. Everything indicated that he had intended to repeat the crime. Although he had paused after the Schauer murders, the materials and records revealed ongoing intent. He had also revisited recordings of David multiple times, making screenshots and keeping them as trophies. A flash drive contained 8 videos documenting the crime itself, binding the family, threatening them, torturing David, and executing the murders. These videos became critical evidence in court. Psychiatric experts analyzed Thomas's behavior and concluded he displayed a total lack of empathy. His speech was cold, calculated, and he expressed no guilt or remorse. He admitted to enjoying the acts, describing them with clinical detachment. He even stated that next time he would be more cautious, specifically mentioning not repeating mistakes with fire, as if discussing a failed project rather than a massacre. Authorities recognized that without the DNA test at the cafe, Thomas could have committed further crimes. The trial began on March 13, 2018, at the district court. The courtroom was tense. Relatives of the victims, media, psychologists, and observers knew the case was historic in its cruelty. Thomas entered calmly, escorted by guards, wearing a dark suit, hair neatly combed, hands clasped. He behaved as if attending a routine meeting. The charges were extensive: 4 counts of murder, hostage-taking, extortion, arson to destroy evidence, production and possession of violent material, and planning additional crimes.
Thomas Nick admitted to all charges calmly and without emotion. He described how he entered the Schauer home, gained Carla's trust, bound the family, tortured David, murdered each member, and set the house on fire. He openly acknowledged that this had been his long-held fantasy, delayed for 10 years, which he finally realized. The courtroom was stunned by his coldness and total lack of remorse. When asked if he could live in society again, he replied, "Yes, I would get dogs and lead a quiet life. I won't let my fantasies control me again." His statement sounded more like a mockery than reassurance. The court ordered a closed session to review the crime scene videos filmed by Thomas. The footage showed the meticulous way he controlled, bound, and tortured the family. Expert witnesses confirmed the authenticity of the recordings. Even seasoned prosecutors admitted the videos were among the most disturbing they had ever encountered. The prosecution demanded the maximum sentence: indefinite imprisonment without the possibility of early release. Swiss law, however, allows a life sentence without parole only if the person is deemed permanently untreatable. Thomas's defense did not contest guilt. Instead, they argued he was legally sane, seeking to avoid the permanently dangerous classification. Psychiatric reports confirmed deviant behavior, but did not declare it irreversible, providing a formal loophole. Ultimately, Thomas was sentenced to an indeterminate term with eligibility for review after a minimum of 20 years. He was also ordered to make financial reparations, though the victims' families expressed no interest in money, wanting only to ensure he would never be free. The nation of Switzerland struggled to come to terms with the crime. Known for safety, order, and tranquility, the small village of Rudi discovered that a monster had lived among them, planning murder for months while remaining unnoticed. The case revealed how easily someone could infiltrate society, manipulate trust, and carry out unspeakable violence. Authorities and citizens alike questioned how such a person had gone undetected, given he had no criminal record or psychiatric history. Public outrage grew when it became known that Thomas had a list of 11 boys he monitored for potential future attacks. His systematic planning and obsession terrified the community. Schools introduced safety lectures, neighbors became more vigilant, and police tightened monitoring of suspicious online activity. Many acknowledged a chilling truth. Even in the safest countries, monsters can hide behind ordinary smiles. The Schauer-Freiburghaus case became a landmark tragedy in Swiss history, demonstrating the dangers of meticulous, premeditated violence lurking beneath a veneer of normalcy.